Welcome back, chums, and welcome to a new CDPR slash Cyberpunk 2077 news video. So yesterday, CDPR had their earnings results, or well, investors call, where they talked with investors about their future plans and where they presented everything which was happening at the end of 2023, including some sales and upcoming projects. So today we're going to be tackling all of that, going through the presentation, going through the Q&A, and at the end we are going to wrap it up with the interview from Gabe Amantangelo, which is an older interview, but I wanted to mention it because he talked about some of the future updates and what's happening with Cyberpunk 2077, including the Cyberpunk follow-up game. So first things first, when it comes to the earnings results, we did find out that Phantom Liberty has sold over 5 million copies as of now. And as they said, it's almost at a quarter of a, amount of players who bought Cyberpunk 2077 are actually now in the possession of Phantom Liberty. Also keep in mind that so far Cyberpunk 2077 has sold over 25 million copies, and if you combine it with the Witcher trilogy, which has sold over 75 million copies, we can safely assume, and as CDPR says, is that overall CDPR games sold over 100 million copies since the company's inception. And when it comes to the company itself, 2023 was their second best year in history, where obviously, with the release of Cyberpunk 2077, it was the best one, along with, The Witcher 3 becoming a lot more popular and getting more and more players, and even to this day, maintaining an absolute killing when it comes to overall sales. Now, if we take a closer look at their pipeline, we're going to see a few things. So first off, the Polaris project, which is the new, Witcher trilogy. This is going to be the first part of the new Witcher trilogy, as they said. It is developed by CD Projekt Red, which we already know, and the project stage right now is in pre-production, and they kinda expect to go into full production, or well, proper production, at the second part of this year. Of course, when it comes to pre-production stage, it doesn't really have a definitive date. Sometimes these things can last a bit longer until everything is ready, because going into production is one thing, but going and having a really good planned pre-production, knowing exactly what you want, or well, majority of what you want, is beneficial in their case, and I'm glad they're taking their time when it comes to pre-production of the next Witcher. After that, we have the Sirius project, which is developed by the Molasses Flood, their Boston studio, and this is also supported by CD Projekt Red. And the actual project stage is also in pre-production, because a few months ago we did learn that this project was restarted. And the third Witcher project is going to be the Witcher remake, which is developed by Fool's Theory, again supported by CD Projekt Red, and the project stage is in concept right now. So these things are going to take a lot more time to do. Now also, CDPR has said a long time ago that they want to use the technology from Polaris, from the new Witcher, and they want to place it in the Witcher remake. So do not expect the remake to come out before Polaris itself. It's going to be a while until we see that. Now also, their Boston studio, the newly formed one, is going to be developing Project Orion, which is the follow-up to Cyberpunk 2077, and again, as it says here, developed by the CD Projekt Red team in Boston. This is very good. When it comes to that team, it's actually assembling really fast, to be honest. Most of the people who are in charge of it are basically now at it in the concept stage, and it's quite nice that they're actually working properly on this. And of course, their big secret is the new IP, Project Hadar, which is in IP concept phase, and this means this is incredibly early to talk about. IP concept phase is basically that beginning start where you take a look and you figure out, okay, what is this IP going to be about? How are we going to franchise it? Where is it going to go? What is it going to have? Which of the parts is it going to consist of? So when you go through all of that, it's going to take you a very long period of time. So do not expect to hear anything about Hadar anytime soon. Now, if we take a look at the development teams engaged in ongoing projects, we can see that the Cyberpunk team right now only has 17 employees, or well, 17 developers in that sense. The team has definitely shrunk because, well, most of the big updates are done. When it comes to the expansion, it's out, and right now this team is just going to basically shrink more and more and more. But what we do have here is 403 developers working on Polaris right now, so we can see that the Witcher project is definitely going incredibly hard, and they are well at it, and I'm very happy to see this because I've been missing The Witcher for all of these years, because as much as I love Cyberpunk and I just love playing it and love covering it, The Witcher is basically where the heart is at. Of course, we have, as I said, Project Orion, which has 47 employees, Project Sirius, which has 37, Hadar, which has 20, which is pretty good, so a lot of things are developing there. And also they have shared services, which is the actual, general development services, localization, quality assurance, data insight, experiences, and artificial intelligence. And also we have 8 of these other developers working on some other projects, and the total amount of developers is 627 currently working at CD Projekt Red, or well, CD Projekt Capital Group. And if we take a look at the profits and we turn the Polish zloty into dollars, the company itself, CD Projekt Red, has made over 120 million in 2023. So in the end, they basically recuperated all of the investments for Phantom Liberty and Update 2.0, which they basically, re-released the game in a sense, in its systems and so on, and they made a profit in all of it. So far, at least when it comes to money, CDPR is going to have it so they can develop all of these projects which they want. And to be honest, I really hope they take their time with the Witcher game. They shouldn't hurry it at all, and especially because it's going to be set in Unreal Engine now, I cannot wait to see what sort of technology they're gonna be using for it and how is it actually going to look graphically wise. But of course, all of these things are going to take a while to be made, so don't expect them for at least 3 years. My assumption is that the next Witcher game is coming out in 2027. That is a somewhat realistic expectation of what I want from The Witcher, and when it comes to Cyberpunk and everything else, that's gonna take a while. But right now they have this opportunity to work on more projects simultaneously, so that means at least some things are going to take less time to do than, previously. But as it is with every single other game, the project is always going to be bigger and bigger and bigger because it's a new game, which obviously takes more time. Now, in the other news, huge thanks to my Polish viewers for actually sending me this Stockwatch PL interview with Piotr Nielubowicz and Karolina Nas. Now, here they talked about various topics which I found interesting, including the one about microtransactions. Now, before we get into that, just a quick comment about Project Sirius, which is currently created by the Molasses Flood. Karolina Nas actually says that they are in early pre-production stage of this project, where a lot of work is iterative. We test out ideas and key mechanics. As we mentioned, we are more and more satisfied with the progress of work. This is good because ever since they actually restarted the project and they kinda reworked some of the elements initially, I'm glad that it's finally, becoming a project which they're satisfied with, because this means, this is going to be something that we're gonna be playing. And also I do like this answer where they asked about releasing games first on consoles, polishing them and then releasing on PC, and Karolina said, "We don't take it into account. Thank you." And also there was a question about microtransactions where they were asked if microtransactions will be added to future games. And they said this: "We do not see a place for microtransactions in the case of single-player games, but we don't rule out that we will use the solution in the future in the case of multiplayer projects." Now, it is kinda expected that if they're gonna be doing anything multiplayer, and they said they want to add some online elements to their games, if that's going to be a separate kind of a project or a game, I think definitely. So for that, I'm kinda expecting some way of, monetizing it or having microtransactions, but for as long as it's, ethical in a sense, then it's going to be fine. But of course, if it's not, it can create a lot of problems for PR, as microtransactions are not really looked up upon in a very good light, especially the way microtransactions can be handled. Now for the end, I do want to talk a little bit about a GameFile interview with Gabe Emmentangelo, the current game director of Cyberpunk 2077, where they were asked about some of the actual differences between Cyberpunk before and Cyberpunk right now and what they did to actually make it better. And what Gabe is basically saying here is that number one, the team itself was reorganized, meaning that they trust each other and they have a much better work dynamic. When it comes to plans, they're also started, working better on their plans, so they don't actually have the problems which they had during the development of Cyberpunk and also during the development of The Witcher 3, where there was, obviously some problems with the actual workflow. But with how they reorganize their studio right now, those things should flow a lot better. Now, when it comes to Cyberpunk itself, they were asked if they're gonna be, including some of the other content updates after patch 2.11, and they said pretty much we're done. But also he added and said this: it's possible that there is some other little things that comes here and there, just because as you're kind of messing around with stuff, sometimes you discover something that is not a high risk, or it's easy to integrate, or, some developers have some bandwidth. They bring it to me and I'm like, alright, well, I trust you, this isn't going to mess with your other work, so let's give it a go. So that's always going to be this conundrum when it comes to developing stuff for a company. You have to understand that these devs have a limited time that they're working at a company, or at least, 8 hours or maybe a little bit more every single day. So they have to work on different projects, and if the company doesn't want to give you budget for certain things, for let's say a feature, you're not going to get it. Simple as that. Now, one of the things which I'm kind of looking forward to is maybe, and people are losing, their hope here, is FSR 3.1. Hopefully that is included in the next Cyberpunk update, but to be honest, so far, I don't know. So we shall see what they're gonna be doing with that. But also this year we do have the Witcher 3 modding tools which are coming out, so that's going to be definitely exciting to follow up. And that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to smash that like and subscribe button for more. Also check us out on Twitter and Discord. Huge thanks to my current Patreon supporters, and I will see you very soon with a new video. Bye bye.